Okay, Elyssa, we're just gonna pop you right in. I hope you are fired up and ready to go. Hannah, we grab you.
We changed spots too, by the way.
I know, yeah, we should say that, Elyssa, while you're coming in.
Or,
so yeah, we're in vignette number 2 at Maven Space.
Maybe
like back up just a little.
Yeah.
But this cute spot. I'm loving these chairs.
Me too.
Might need to take these home. Alyssa, would you?
This whole space is so
we know
beautiful.
your dog is always in the background with you. Would these look comfortable enough for?
Well, let me see. Let's find out.
Oh,
So
good.
What do you? I think it's a yes. It's a yes, definitely. But
Okay.
she would have to have like a couple pillows and like a blanket.
He has a pillow. Oh, that's so cute.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we know that you've got some incredible tips as we start to shift to talking about stress and time management. And oh my gosh, I know that you watched the live with us that Elyssa did with us a few months ago.
This is so applicable right now.
It's gonna be awesome.
Thank you.
So we're gonna just let you take this away.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. And let's see how well this works for me here. So I'd love for you guys to, let's see. So we're going to go into this. And can you guys tell me, do you see everything here? Can you see my slide? Okay, amazing. Okay, so thank you so much. I'm not gonna spend too much time on anything extra. I'm like I feel like we all need a minute to just absorb what Dr. Krebs just did to our brains. That was amazing, and I'm so excited. So what she talked about goes perfectly into talking about this concept of overwhelm, self-sabotage, time management blocks. Okay, so as the mama, and I just loved Blessing's keynote today, because as the mamas, we are the ones that are responsible for keeping the show going, are we not? So basically, you know, I'm a single mama, but even with a partner, it can be really heavily falling on the mama's shoulders to make sure that everything is running on time, to make sure that you're not procrastinating, that you're not sitting on the couch when it's calling your name at, 7 o'clock at night after, maybe you're doing bedtimes or whatever, and then you just want to sit down, but actually there's like an hour's worth of work to do more. And we're trying to figure out how to prioritize ourselves. So I want to talk about all of that today. And first, I just want us all to take a big, deep breath. There's always more we could be doing for ourselves, okay? But the message that I hear the other speakers giving, and I know that right after this, after we get the Maven Space tour, we're going to get an amazing mindfulness meditation from Carmel Clay Parks and Rec. So just remember that none of the extra stuff that we're telling you to do or whatever, none of the extra stuff, it matters unless it comes from a place of rest and peace, okay? So when we're talking about rescuing ourselves from burnout, let's just dive right in. I'm going to tell you first just a little bit about who I am. So my name's Elyssa. I'm a trauma-informed life strategist. I've also referred to myself as a time strategist because my specialty is helping women, my clients, identify what their time management blocks are, and then tracing back the self-sabotage to see what's underneath, and then to help heal from what's underneath so that the symptoms don't continue to happen. So I've been featured in Forbes, in Fox 59 for my self-compassionate time management models. I'm going to share some of that with you today because I really, really, really want you mamas to have some self-compassion, okay? So I help women to achieve independence from their trauma and their self-sabotage so that they can shine in their next level, like in their next stage of life. I have a son who is 7.5. And then this is you've already seen her once. This is Mika. She's my self-proclaimed. I don't know if you see in my small little video window here, but she's thrilled to be here. So 7.5 years ago, I had one of the most traumatic pregnancies that I had never heard of anybody having like a traumatic pregnancy, and it could just be because we're not encouraged to talk about that. But I had a very traumatic pregnancy, super traumatic birth, massive medical trauma as a result, massive trauma in my marriage. Moved across the country to Manhattan where I knew no one, had to learn the subway system with legs that weren't functioning real well. Found out I had some fun medical conditions that were genetic that had never showed themselves until this trauma all hit. I literally had nothing felt like I knew nothing and felt like none of my previous life had actually mattered or done anything for me, because I thought if you just do the right thing enough of the time, you'll get to the right place where you want to be. Turns out bad crap can happen anyway. And so what do we do then when the light is not at the end of the tunnel anymore? So I mapped my way out of that dark space with my faith, the support people that I started to formulate that were actually healthy. I got rid of a lot of the toxic things and I mapped my way out. And I swore to myself that if I ever got out of this, if there ever was a light at the end of the tunnel, I would then help other people chart their way, to help other women chart their way out as well of the darkness. So that's why I'm here. And I'm so grateful to be asked to share today, because I just want to give you a quick overview of what might be causing your stress and overwhelm. What might be, and you've already heard a lot of reasons why we don't prioritize ourselves. It doesn't make a lot of sense in our culture for us to prioritize ourselves unless you actually know what's going on. And then that's really the only choice. I have some solutions and ideas for you to try. And I've got a little free download for you at the end. And I want to share some things about what you can do as your next steps. So let's talk about overwhelm. Overwhelm, just like Dr. Krebs said, is that survival primal response to a threat. Now, she talked a lot about the physiological things, and that's a lot of what I talk about too, just the fact that our brain doesn't know the difference between running 5 minutes late for an appointment and actually being chased and needing to run for your life, okay? So what happens in that moment is that your right brain perceives the threat, and then it's like martial law. The right brain is like, primal brain's in charge now. Left brain, logical brain, higher level decision making, calculus, geography, like all the things that you need your left brain for, all the really sort of calculated higher level stuff. No one needs that when you're running to the nearest tree to escape a predator. So we don't, that kind of goes on the back burner. Right brain takes over and like heightens your senses. Has anyone ever had somebody, one of the little people, henpecking you when you're already stressed or running behind for something? What happens? It triggers, it triggers this massive response in our bodies and causes us to have, that whatever that overwhelmed response is, that rage that goes. Yeah, okay, now I've got the chat up. Thank you guys. So yes, let's tell me in the chat, what is this like for you? Where do you feel it in your body? What happens for you? Do you have that 0 to 60 rage trigger that can happen for you when you're really overwhelmed? Fellow traumatic birth survivor here. Oh, Kira, yes, girl. I mean, it's so hard. And you know what? Can I just say, this is not in my presentation, but I won't digress for too long on this. Birth in and of itself, because of what a big change it is physiologically, it's a trauma. It doesn't matter how well it goes. It's a trauma for the mom and for the baby, which is why the newborn phase can be difficult as well. But if anything goes wrong or you don't get your birth plan that you wanted, the brain then perceives that as like, we are going to die. And so no wonder we go into survival mode so easily. So what happens on a smaller scale is that we also go into whatever the brain learned was the appropriate sabotage, negative self-talk, being hard on ourselves, believing that we just need to do better, be more, work harder, all of those things that we developed as coping mechanisms to make it through whatever dysfunction we had in childhood. Those are the things that then exhibit themselves. So sabotage, overwhelm, it's an unhelpful coping mechanism. That's what that is. Sensory overload. Yeah, kids are meant to be loud, but between that and the TV and my husband's phone, it's too much. I tell you what, I'll just tell you, I have these Ring earplugs that allow you to hear someone talking to you, but block out bigger noises. I can't even tell you, like even when I'm washing dishes and clanging pots and pans, it really helps me as a highly sensitive mama. So, all right, so next, I just want to talk about the type of sabotage that you can be experiencing. Now, when you're in survival mode, chances are you're going to be feeling lots of guilt and shame that you might be defective somehow, that you're not getting enough done and that you'll never get enough done. You might run behind. I was a chronic late young woman, and it's only been in the recent last few years that I realized there were other ways to shift how I was seeing how I managed my time and how I saw time. And now it's not as nearly as much of a problem. Now, yes, if someone's throwing up, like we're going to be late to school, but or not go to school. And then the whole day gets changed around if you're working from home, right? Another thing you might notice, this is a sabotage. You can't say no to people. There's so much that is strongly imprinted on us about our role as the mom, as a woman in our society. It is way more common for us to overextend ourselves for things that don't serve us than it is for us to be able to know where our boundaries are, and then to find ways that align with us to say no to things. Sacrificing your needs. Somebody needs something. Oh, well, I could do that, so I will do that, even though my left arm is off and I'm bleeding out. I could still walk because I have two legs, so I'm going to continue to go, right? So we all know what that feels like, to just continue to push and push and push. So here's the great news, and I hope you're hearing this message from the other speakers that they've been giving too. We're all saying it is not your fault. This is literally just the only survival response that we could have had based on our life experience and based on society's expectations and the lack of support that we have as mamas. So the right brain takes over, left brain lays low. It turns off your access to actual productivity. So when you're in survival mode, you might get stuff done, but you'll probably notice a brain fog. You'll probably notice that it's really hard to prioritize your to-do list. Tell me if you recognize any of these. You'll notice that there are systems in your body that are turned off. Like Dr. Krebs said, your reproductive system is not interested in conceiving when you're in high stress. It revs up your other systems that you will actually need if you are running from that saber-toothed tiger. So your heart rate will go up. You might have tense muscles. You might have the whatever your particular brand of self-sabotage is. That couch sabotage is pretty common. Like, you need to be doing stuff. Yes, absolutely, the sensory overload. So you know you need to be doing stuff, but the couch is calling your name, or your Netflix show is calling your name, or Instagram scrolling, and you just look up and it's 2 hours later. That is a way that your brain is sabotaging you, but it's trying to desperately fight for you to be able to get the rest that you need. It's just not a helpful way to do it. Okay, so here is what the key to the whole thing is. We have to hack that survival brain response. So if we're going to work smarter and not harder as moms, and actually be able to implement some of the helpful things that you're hearing today, we all need to be doing some mindfulness and meditation. We need to be doing some journaling. We need to be taking some supplements, but that can just add to that to-do list, and it can just pile up. So what we have to do is we have to hack the survival brain response to unlock the left brain, as it can help you do the logical things and not feel like a burden, okay? So here's one of the most important things that you could do. And if you hear nothing else from me today, this is what I want you to take away. There is a root to these symptoms of sabotage and overwhelm. It is very possible that at some point you experienced either little t trauma, which is the repeated, it's when a need goes repeatedly unmet, but it's not a life or death situation, or big T trauma, which is the type of trauma that's a big bad thing that should never happen to anyone. Okay, so if you haven't ever looked underneath the surface of your procrastination, your people pleasing, all of these different things, then I want you to just take a minute today and figure out what might be at the root. If you're looking at your workbook at all that you got for the summit today, you'll see that there's a space for you to write out what your survival symptoms are. Maybe you procrastinate. Maybe that overwhelm makes a brain fog so thick you can't get past the first thing on your to-do list. Maybe you lose the ability to prioritize stuff. Maybe you run late, run behind. Maybe you stop eating. Maybe you don't drink water on those days. So whatever it is for you, maybe you notice that you have like a migraine all the time. I can't even tell you, it's 2 different ones of my clients this week are really struggling with overwhelm, and they're both having migraines. And so if you notice the tension, so write down what your stress tells are so that you can know when to enact this little plan that I'm going to give you in just a second, okay? So you get to the root of your symptoms, address the trauma, then you make your short-term plan for calm. So then we build a long-term lifestyle of calm based on what I'm going to share with you in this next slide. Okay, so this framework, this is what you can use to actually hack your survival brain, okay? So the first step when you notice the stress is that you are going to look for safety. If you are trying to parent through an emotional trigger moment for yourself, you will know that that doesn't normally go very well, right? If you are hitting that sensory overload and somebody spills something, somebody hits the dog, no, I'm not speaking from experience. I mean, so if that's happening, that's not your moment to parent. That's not your moment to try to have control of the situation. That's your moment to take 3 deep breaths. 3 deep breaths will give your survival brain a little indicator that we're not actually running away from something. We need left brain online to make parenting decisions. So if you can take 3 deep breaths, it takes less than 30 seconds, in through the nose and out through the mouth, that will reset the survival response. It'll give you like half a minute to really make a good decision about what you need to do. I would also recommend that you actually take a break at that point, whether that means you just say, the mess is going to wait. The dog is, I'll take the dog with me so the dog doesn't get hit again. Whatever you need to do to give yourself like a 3 to 5 minute break, and then to really calm your body before you try to parent, before you try to do anything responsible or productive, okay? If you're procrastinating a work project, this works wonders. It's counterintuitive to stop for a moment when you're procrastinating and to take a break. But if you get to the bottom of why you're procrastinating, that 3 to 5 minutes will feel very productive, because then you can actually get stuff done when your survival brain is calm. The next S is self-care. Again, like Blessing said, it's a buzzword. I'm like sick of it. I'm like so tired. Do self-care, do self-care, do self-care. So here is the way I have my brain to shift it, because I feel, it's really easy to feel shame when you're not doing enough self-care. I mean, it's like, hi, we feel shame about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And then we know what we need to do, but we're not doing it, or we don't have time to do it. And so now we feel more shame. So we're stuck in that cycle, and the sabotage and the stress will come up. So here's what I want you to do. Again, take a deep breath. Do some self-nurturing. And what I recommend is doing, yes, Tiffany, I'm in your brain. What I recommend doing is thinking about how could you do a 1% upgrade for any one of your 5 senses. We want to nurture our 5 senses in that moment. So you take your split second break, you go nurture yourself for a second. I'm gonna give you my best hack. A hot cup of tea or your favorite drink, whatever it is, preferably not day drinking while you're, with the kids, right? We're not whining in the morning, but whatever your favorite drink is, especially if it's warm in your cup, this will hit 4 out of 5 senses if you really take a moment to savor, to smell, to taste, to hold. Okay, so that's my fastest hack for nurturing your senses. So if you're in the middle of a trigger, you stop and go take a minute to make some tea, take your 3 deep breaths while the tea is brewing, and then you grab your cup and then you decide, how am I going to logically move through this? What's my next logical step? If the logic isn't coming, you're still in survival mode. So you take care of yourself, girl, until you are not in survival mode, even if it's just 2 minutes free of survival mode, and then you breathe and then you move back into it. The third thing that we all need, which is why we're here today, is safe support. I was a professional toxic person attractor in my past life, okay? It was like my job. I was like, okay, you need to use me for all the things that I can do, because I'm really good at a lot of stuff, and you need to use me. Well, I guess that's where I get my value. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say yes and say yes and say yes and say yes, and you're going to be toxic and use me, and I'm not going to do anything about it. So now I have this beautiful life where I only have green light people in my life. I have a little model where we talk about red light people, they're always toxic. Yellow light people, they're sometimes toxic, not safe around some topics. And green light people who will say, I hear you, I'm here for you, tell me everything, I'm not judging you. That's your green light person. We need those people daily. Daily be in touch with that girlfriend, daily be in touch with that mentor, daily be in touch with that group. Somebody that really validates you, because there are all kinds of reasons to gaslight ourselves as moms and make ourselves feel crazy for the stress that we feel. But we need people who will reinforce that we're not going to be like that. Okay, so I'm trying to wrap up here because I know we have some really juicy stuff to wrap up this amazing summit today. Thank you, Janine and Kira, and just everybody who made this possible. And thank you for inviting me and all the other speakers. My hats are off to you, amazing mamas who are supporting other mamas. So I would love for you to come over and join me in the Free Stress Less Lounge on Facebook. It is such an amazing community, and we have women who are supporting each other and really just being there for each other. I'm there to support you. Come on over. I have a free gift for you that you put, I think you guys have this, maybe five packs to stress less. You guys might have that. That link that you can put in the chat, Tiffany, maybe. And so then I also wanted to invite you, if you are really interested in getting to the root of your self-sabotage, I happen to be, it wasn't planned this way, but I happen to be doing a free masterclass on that in a couple of weeks here on May 3rd. There's a replay available if you can't attend live, but basically we're going to be talking about all these things, and we're going to have an hour. So we'll go into more depth, and I'm going to give you some really helpful stuff, what the 3 pillars are that you want to build your life upon if you are trying to live independent from trauma and self-sabotage and the overwhelm. So thank you ladies for being here. I would just love to connect with you more if you want to come over on Instagram and follow me. Thank you for having me, Janine, and everybody.
Thank you so much, Elyssa. Oh my gosh, and like just having you say like 3 deep breaths. Kira, hold my hand.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yes, and so here comes our meditation after the tour. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much, Elyssa. We will see you so soon.